Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. I am so happy that we have Sabina here today joining us. And Sabina is my friend, but also specifically, she is Tahmina's friend. Um I know you to be really warm, fun loving, happy go lucky, uh, honest, jo dil mein hai bas keh diya. And that's just, this the beautiful quality that you have. But I want to kind of start today with. Uh, Maybe an anecdote, but a story. And I think that you hold a very special place in my heart because, in TM's life, she has gone through various things in her life, and she has had a spiritual trajectory and a spiritual journey. And in that journey, you played a very vital role. I still remember it was. She was going through something and she was saying कि यार I feel that there is no community. I don't know anyone. I wish I could go for zikr. I wish I could meet someone.
Yeah.
And we had been friends with you for a long time at that time. And I think you guys were out for breakfast or something. And she was ranting and she was just sharing her burden with you. And you kind of smiled and you said कि मेरे घर आ जाओ. And she said, what?
Yeah.
And you said कि मेरे घर जिक्र होता है, and she was just floored.
Yeah.
And I know that she came to you and she spent time with you and you opened your, home for her. And in one sense, I think that this was like this sisterly connection
Yeah.
that she needed at that time, and somehow God just placed you guys
Yeah.
together. And I guess that it's been so special, and we're really lucky to have you in our life, I guess, in that way.
I am lucky.
But I guess maybe this is in a sense a good way to start the conversation. So I did not grow up in a Sufi household.
Yeah.
Tamina's parents, her dad is a Sufi, but I don't think that when she was growing up she had any zikr happening at home or any kind of exposure to something like that. Obviously, it was a religious household, but let's start with how do you remember growing up? What was the environment like? Do you think that your parents helped you foster a connection with God? Do you think that I mean, was it a specifically Sufi household, or how can you kind of start talking about that?
So, I was thinking about this yesterday. Um, and I mean, the word Sufi was never used when we were growing up. I mean, how many times did
Yeah.
we, you know what I mean? And I also feel like, especially in my case, when I was younger, and if the word Sufi was ever used, or Sufism was mentioned, it was always in connection with somebody who was very Jalali, you know, someone like a Malang.
Yeah,
That is the picture that we had in our heads.
I think I agree with you completely. That was the connotation that oh, Darvesh hai, was
हाँ
nikla hai.
हाँ
Yeah,
हाँ. And I think that as the world shrunk and we got the MIRC and things like that in our homes, and started sort of speaking to people outside of Pakistan. I think that's where I remember that somebody there was someone with the I mean, now I'm saying handle, but I don't know, the name
name.
was Dervish.
Okay.
And I had read about the whirling dervishes
Yeah.
in one of the many books that my mother had at home, and I was very intrigued. Ke, ye kya hai? But again, it was something that to me it belonged in books, or it was someone who was not like us.
Yeah.
This person was religious, but this person was religious in a very different way. Also, one of my earliest memories, and I'll try and say this quickly, is when I think I must have been 12 or 13. We were in Lahore and there were lots of cousins, and my mother was basically talking to an aunt of mine and telling her that when my mother was 8 years old, a woman had come to the door, like someone like a beggar had come to the door asking for food. And my nanny was very, known for her generosity and all. And anyone came, she would make sure to give them something. So she said, "Ki, haan, let her in and I'll go inside and I'll get something." So she went inside and she got some rice, like uncooked rice in a sack. And she said, like, I just have this that I can give her right now. So when my nani came out, my mother was sitting there. All of my This is in Lahore, and my mother's older cousins were there, and I mean, it's a big Afghan family settled in Punjab,
Yeah.
lots and lots of people,
Yeah.
and five siblings here and six siblings here, and everyone was there that evening. So one of my mother's older cousins laughed at that woman's appearance. So it was very sort of unruly hair,
Yeah.
gray hair, very a wild look in her eyes. This is how my mother
Yeah.
described her, and she was wearing something that was off-white type, and very, again, the idea that we have of what a female malang would look
Yeah.
like, and laughed and said, "Oh, this woman is mad." And the woman got very angry and she pulled her hair like this, and she looked at my nani and she said, "This girl will grow up to marry." So she said she referred to somebody in the family. I don't remember my mother's exact words, and everyone started laughing. And because at that point a cousin had sent a proposal for that aunt of mine, so everyone started laughing. She got very angry. She was like, "I will never marry him." And she said, "No, you will marry him."
Okay.
And my nani was like, she was obviously trying to calm the woman down, and she was trying to calm her niece down as well. Again, don't be upset, don't be upset. And everyone is laughing now. And then, so my nani said, "Who are you? And what made you say that?" So she looked at my mother and she said, and my mother was 8 years old at that time, and she said, "She will grow up to marry a brigadier's son."
Wow.
So at this point, my nani was floored.
Okay.
And she was like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
And I think at that point, everyone went quiet. And I think she pointed out to a couple of other people and said, "This one will marry so and so, this one will marry so and so." And then she whispered a dua in my nani's ear. And she said, "You read this and you will see all of their husbands. You will see whatever you want to see in connection to this."
Okay.
And she took the sack of rice and she walked off. And that night, apparently, my nanny read the dua for my mother. Okay. And saw something. So, I mean, this is a long story.
Yeah.
She read it for a lot of people, and she saw all their husbands. As in, she saw the boys that they would marry at that time. Then later on, they ended up marrying those guys.
Oh my
So
God.
many of those guys she had never seen before. They were from outside the family. Some had ended up getting married to the cousins that she had seen. And in my mother's case, she had seen a young man with golden brown hair and a golden brown beard, opening the door of a car for her. And my nanny's getting out of the car, and apparently my mother, I think, is sitting next to her, something like that. And so my nanny, obviously my mother was too small in the years that followed. My nanny then said to mommy that, I had this dream, and I had seen this young man, and and then they forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then my parents got married, and um, I was born, and they were coming back from somewhere. I don't know. I think maybe from the hospital. They were coming back from the hospital, I think. And my father was in the driving seat. My nanny was sitting behind. Mummy was sitting with her, and I was in mummy's lap. And my father got off the car and opened the door for my nanny. And when my nanny was stepping out, at that very second, her heart stopped and she thought, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
this is deja vu. I have seen this."
Okay.
So many years later, I think my mother must have been, what, 21, 22 at that time. She had seen this dream when mommy was 8. So, I mean, that sort of informed, for me at least growing up, that informed my idea of what a Sufi was and what
Yeah.
Sufism was. And it was very far removed from anything that I thought, or that uh, I thought I could relate to even. But so, I mean, like I was saying yesterday, I think that's just because we put labels on things,
Yeah.
and then we make them sound so complicated by giving them those names, and we make them sound like it is something that you have to discover and you have to work for. And I mean,
But this is, I'm sorry, but this is such a remarkable story. It's quite moving. And in relation to what you were saying, I'm thinking that uh, as we were growing up, maybe the Sufi was also someone who was a person with a very high spiritual status,
Exactly.
and they
Exactly.
were people, they were saints, so they cannot be among us.
Yeah.
So there was this concept that, there used to be people who पहुंचे हुए बुजुर्ग थे, and मतलब
Buzurg, that's the
बुजुर्ग,
word, right? That is
and
the word.
they are not, you can't find them,
Yeah.
and they're not there really. You can read about them in books,
Yes.
and there's a lot of folklore,
Yeah.
and sometimes there's a lot of music and songs about
Yeah.
it, but it's kind of it, and there's nothing else important about it. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of environment I guess we grew up in. But when you were growing up, do you feel that this exposure and this kind of way of thinking informed you in a positive way?
Yes, so I feel like my mother was very, very drawn to the idea of the Buzurg and the murid and having a guide.
Yeah.
And she and my father would often have these conversations, and my father used to be like, "Well, what is?" And it's ironic because now he's like, sometimes I look at him and I think he's a bit of Sufi in my life right now, you know. But at that time, he used to say, Bhai, why can't you just speak to Allah directly?
Yeah.
And she would say, No, I need a guide in this life. I need someone that I can go to, someone I can speak to. And I mean, we always had literature, of that kind around the house. She was always telling us stories of, the Qadir Jalani and Rumi. And I mean, this was a norm in the house. And again, I mean, I thought that it was very like the gap between us ordinary mortals and those buzzards was like, so enormous that it could
Yeah.
never. I mean, it was so like it was too big an
Yeah.
idea for
Yeah.
me to absorb, but it was how I feel like it was. I mean, I don't know how to express this best, but it was Islam for me.
Yeah.
It was how I got connected to God, and it was how I learned about Islam. And I think one of the pivotal moments in my this journey of Sufism was when I heard about Rabia Basri. And it was the first time that I was, I'd heard about a woman,
Yeah.
and then there are so many stories around her, so many stories. And I remember we had an aunt, a cousin, third, fourth, fifth cousin of my mother's, who we were very close to, and her kids and I, we used to talk about these things. We used to have these like conversations over tea and cake and things like that. And she would share her things, and then mommy would talk about her things. And I remember her telling me this bit about Rabia Basri that she was supposed to go for Umrah, and the people who were making the journey with her, they went ahead of her and couldn't see the Khane Kaaba. And I hope that this doesn't upset people, because when I talk about these things, people get very upset with me. So her story was that they went and they couldn't see the Khane Kaaba. So they were like, "What happened? Where is the Khane Kaaba?" And Rabia Basri was a little behind, and somebody said, "Oh, it has gone to greet her." So, I mean, I was so moved when I heard that. I was so moved. But the idea that there was a female figure like that, I
Yeah.
mean, I think it made me fall in love with religion even more. I mean, of course, we've grown up hearing about Hazrat Khadija and
Yeah.
Fatima and, Razal Anha, you know, but in this sense, the yearning that I feel the idea of Sufism taught me as a child, the yearning to lose myself in
Yeah.
something where the world ceases to exist, and you are on this plane where there is just you and there is the Almighty and there is nothing. That the peace that I used to get, I think that it helped me when I heard about Rabia Basri, started reading about her. It helped me connect with the idea of Sufism more as a not as something that was far away, but as something that could be my life also,
Yeah.
could be my journey also, and could be a path that I could be on.
But I think that, when we when we grow up in our context, or I can say that, as at least when I was growing up in this context, with reference to what you're saying, I think I was not very satisfied with what I would learn about religion
Yeah.
because I would have questions.
Yeah.
But uh, the space of spirituality was just this place which was very alluring for me. It was a place which like had this kind of magnetic pull, and I was very attracted to a lot of these stories, and I would love to find exposure, where I could learn about these things. And I think that that kind of calmed me down as well कि यार अगर आपके पास बहुत सारे सवाल हैं, it's all right.
Yeah.
There is a spiritual dimension, and in that dimension you are able to kind of deal with things or understand things which maybe you cannot understand with the way religion is kind of presented to you
Especially
generally.
in this part of the world, I
Yeah.
feel. Yeah.
um, and I guess that as a young person, as a very young person growing up, drawing towards religion or its spiritual dimension will have a grounding that will help you in the future, I
Yeah.
think. Because if you kind of grow up just with questions, and if you have a thinking mind and you're not able to resolve those, maybe when you grow up, you are going to have a lot of not hostility, but at least a doubt that, there's something which is not right about this entire space. And I think we've had our share of
Yeah.
experiences and exposure about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
When you were growing up and when you kind of came through this entire environment, uh, how was it like when you were as a woman, as a girl, you know, choosing what kind of career you want? Did you have support in your life? How was that?
So I think that in any sort of any of my big decisions, for example, what I wanted to study and what I wanted to do with my education, where I wanted to work, I feel like it didn't impact that at all. But because we belonged to a silsila, and we had a sheikh, I should say we have a sheikh, but I'm saying had because the previous one passed away in 2015. I and I did birth in my 20s. And by then I was done with my education. Um, I think that what I used to do, Zuhaib, to be honest, is that I used to do istikharas. Um, because a lot of the times the things that I wanted to do wouldn't end up happening. You know, I had a plan that I'd go abroad and I would study, I'd become a lawyer and I would,
Yeah.
and it didn't work out for a lot of reasons. It didn't work out, and then I ended up staying here and I had to study here. And I But before I decided where I was going to go, I remember doing an istikhara every night. Lamia, guide me. What am I supposed to be doing? Where am I supposed to go? For 7 nights straight. So actually, I come back. I try and not lose track of the conversation, and I'll come back to what you asked me. So I think that by the time that I actually formally took birth, I was in my very early 20s, and I had started working at the Herald magazine at that point. Once the bet was done, uh, I would turn to them for very specific things. So, for example, um, any rishta that would come or any prospective, good for me, not good for me.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it was not good for me. So, and I wanted to write. I was a journalist at that time. So when I met my sheikh, this is in 2007, if I'm not wrong, I said to him, I said, I want to write. Um, and uh, and he smiled and he said, are you going to go back and write about me? Are you going to go and say, oh, I met this old man in Turkey? And I said, no, no, I will never say that. um, and I mean, he joked and he laughed and he didn't say anything. And I came back and I continued working till that job ended and then I moved on. So I think that it didn't, as such, sort of impact my life in that way, not in the professional sense, until much later when I felt that things were just not working out for me. Um, and then I started saying, what am I on the wrong path?
Mm.
And this is especially the last few years. I have started. So yeah, maybe not my professional life until much later, until the last few years when I started to feel like the path that I've been on, I've fallen off the wagon so many times, and many times I felt that it has happened to me. I've not done it myself. I haven't stepped off the wagon. I've been pushed,
I see.
So over the last few years, I have started maybe discussing this more, sort of asking them, okay, what am I supposed to do in
Yeah.
life? What do you want? What does Alamia want me to do?
Yeah.
I'm sure I have some role to play, but so anyhow, I feel like it has. I mean, that is an ongoing thing,
Yeah.
and I don't think that I have arrived at any. My destination is still nowhere on the horizon. Um, so that is a work in progress. I feel that with other aspects of my life, um, I have I would not have survived had I not been on this path.
I
On
see.
this, you can call it the path to Sufism or to be part of a silsila or tariqat. People have different
Yeah.
ways of describing it. Or had this way of being connected
To God.
to God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how I would have survived other parts of my life had I not had
And
this.
I'm thinking that you are referring to maybe personal challenges that you've had in life. And I
Yeah.
do know about you that your mom passed away when you were fairly young.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that must have been hard on you. And
So when she passed away, I was 4 months pregnant with my eldest,
oh my
Alexei.
God.
So I think that um, I think that was probably one of the. I mean, how do you describe something like that? There are no
Yeah.
words to describe the trauma, and then the grief that follows. And I think that those were the years of very, very, and I should add a trigger warning here. Um, there was a lot of suicide ideation, and I've had those tendencies come and go, but I've always fought them, and I always turned to my mother
Yeah.
when those feelings of self harm would come. I would talk to her, um, and I would feel better, and um, I had started running when I was about 17, 18 with my father. He's the one who had said, you need to, uh, we need to do something. And because I had a lot of anxiety as a child. So I had started running. So I had that, and then I had mummy, and then I had my ibadat. And so I had managed my mental health very, very well. I was happy,
Yeah.
And it all, like, my world fell apart. And also, I think the chemical shock to the body, the chemical biological shock to the body to be pregnant and to lose your mother. And I didn't feel ready to be a mother, so I thought I need my mother,
Yeah.
and I'm about to become a mother, and I just lost my mother. Um, and I think the next few months that were left before she was born, I used to fantasize about how I could end it for myself and what would be the quickest and fastest
Yeah.
way. I obviously won't talk about that too much, but um, I mean, there were some very, very, very dark years
Yeah.
that followed after that, and I had stopped saying my namaz. Um, I had completely, completely stopped praying. From falling asleep in sajda, because I used to be in sajda so long, begging Allah to make my mother okay. Um, you know, from that to just not saying my prayers. But when I would hear the azan, I don't know, everything would become still.
Hmm.
And I can't explain it. I don't want to diminish it also by putting it into words. But I didn't um I feel like I was on the path, but I was still.
Yeah.
I was not doing anything. I mean, you're doing stuff when you're on the path. Along the way, you are doing things. You need to keep doing things to keep going. But I feel like I had become stationary.
Stationary. And what you are sharing, I think that, it's one thing to lose a parent, but it's a completely different thing to lose a parent who by cancer, and then also you yourself were pregnant. So, I mean, if I mean that's a really rough hand dealt to you. And it's totally understandable to go through this. I mean, depression just kind of just opens its doors to you, and
Yeah.
you don't know how to hold it back. So yeah.
The word heart sick or heart sickness, that is when I realized what it was. I mean, I'd read it so much in my books, in literature, school. I used to love to read. So, it was, I liked the word because I thought it meant, something deep and profound. And, but I think that I truly experienced what it means in those years. First in those months after her death, and then in the years when I was trying very hard to recover. So I think so. There was an incident that happened. My daughter was 5, 6 days old, maybe 7, and I started feeling very suffocated. All of a sudden, I felt like there was a hand around my throat, and I felt I couldn't breathe, and I needed some air. She had fallen asleep, so I put her in the cot. I had help. I asked the girl. I said, "Just sit with her. If she wakes up, just call out to me." And I went outside, and I thought that I would walk in the driveway, and it was, I think, maybe 8:39 in the night, and I thought it'll,
Yeah.
the breeze or whatever, I would feel a little bit better. And I literally ran from the room. And the main door, so my last memory is of me opening the door. And uh, when I sort of became conscious of what I was doing, I had stepped out of the gate and I was walking on the road. I had sort of stepped onto the road. I had opened the gate was open. I had stepped on the road. I don't know where I was going. And I did not know how I got there. I did not know how much time had passed in the middle. And and I got scared. And I don't get scared easily. And so I turned around, I slammed the gate shut, I came running inside, and the girl had also fallen asleep. So I woke her, I said, Kitna time hua? And she said, Mujhe to nahi pata, because she fell asleep. And I was terrified of what had happened because this has never happened. This had never happened to me before. I've never lost time like that. And and I told Gibran, my husband, I told him, and he said, well, let's speak to the. So we were supposed to go to the gynecologist.
Yeah.
The next day. He said, let's tell her and let's see. She said, you need therapy.
Okay.
She said, this is very, very, very severe PTSD. You need to speak to somebody.
Okay.
She recommended someone. I went there. I don't know, somehow I felt like
It's
I don't,
all
I,
right.
I don't, yeah, like, sometimes you need to feel a connection even with the therapist. And I just,
Yeah, I mean, I've heard such horror stories connected to therapists. I don't want to talk about them in
yeah.
detail, but some really horrible stories about them not being able to handle who's coming, and yeah, so
Yeah. So anyhow, the important thing that I want to mention here is that when I came back, and I mean, my heart was thudding literally. Uh, it is in that moment that I thought that, uh, this is now getting out of hand. Like,
yeah,
I need to do something about it. I can't go on like this. Um, and and also I saw my child, and I tell her now all the time. I say, you saved me, you saved me. Allah took my mother, but gave me a baby girl.
yeah,
And uh, I came and I looked at her, and I thought, you know what, if something happens to me, I mean, sure, people will be devastated. What, my father, my sister, my husband. But also, uh, everyone will go on with their lives. But
mm,
but she will lose her mother,
yeah,
and I've lost my mother. So
and you don't want that to happen to her.
yes, and you want to be there for your
Yeah,
children as long as you can be there,
yeah.
right?
So you found strength in that little moment, despite it being a very, very dark moment
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
And I think personally, I felt that I've had my share of darkness to deal with. I think that difficult moments like these, if they happen, and you kind of arrive at this realization that I need to do something, I think that's where the trajectory can change. And Yeah, so you had that moment at
It
that
still
time.
took me, to be honest, 2 years to find a therapist that I fell in love with,
Okay.
and I thought, okay, this is it, I'm going to stick with her. Um, I'd been to many in the middle, and it was just I'd go for a couple of sessions, and they would tell me, go home and write in a journal. Now, what I want to talk about here before I mention the therapist who I fell in love with, is that when something like this happens, this is something that I've realized at this point in my life. I didn't realize it back then. Grief has a way of settling in your body.
Yeah.
It settles, right? And then there are days when you think you are fine, you know, and you are fine, but you are living with something.
Yeah.
And everyone has some level of depression or grief or anxiety. Everyone has something, right? Everyone lives with something. uh, for me, in my case, I feel like I guarded it closely, because I thought that if I let go of this, I let go of my mother.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to let go of it. And though there were days that felt all right, and felt I felt normal, and then there were other days when I thought, how can I ever be I can never be normal. I'll
Yeah.
never be normal now. So 2 years were very rough, very, very rough. And in between, like I said, we'd gone to this general physician who said to me the same thing that the gynecologist had said earlier, that you have very severe PTSD and you should actually be on medication.
Oh God.
And I did not want to be on medicines. I said, no, I'll run some more, I'll do other things, and I said, I'll go gung ho about my ibadat again,
Yeah.
I'll do something, but I'll fix it. I didn't want to take medication because he said you'll have to stop nursing your child.
Okay.
And I did not want to stop. That I did not want to stop, because that was something that, again, I think now, at that point, my mother used to say, oh, I didn't nurse you enough. I wish I had done it longer. I wish I had done it longer. I used to think, oh, she'd be so proud of me if I keep doing it. The other thing was that I would calm down when I would be nursing my child. And so I'd nurse her for 10, 15 minutes, but I'd stay in the room for like 45 minutes, 1 hour, because it would be zen. Everything would become quiet, everything, it would be just sakoon. I can't explain the hormonal impact. And this is not to say that women, I'm not trying to say that
Yeah.
women should, it's every woman's choice. But for me, that's what worked at that point. And so I did not want to give that up. Anyhow, uh, so then I met this therapist, right? I want to take her name. Her name is Sheila Ali. She lives in the US. She's moved. She was just, I think she was just, I have no words. She was fantastic. She was just, um, I feel like she got me. Like, I would not have to complete what I was saying. I'd say two words and she would know what I meant and what I wanted and what I needed in that moment. You know what I mean? And I think it helped that she also spoke and she also had started to share a little bit. And it was just, I'd walk out feeling
Better.
yeah, you know. And it was in one of the conversations with her uh, that brought me back properly to the prayer mat. I said to her one day, I said, I miss saying my namaz. I was praying like Thursday zikr in the house.
Yeah.
I would say, Jummah namaz. I didn't want to miss. So, but I mean, that regularity and the consistency with which, and of course, my mind would not be on the namaz. Like I'd be praying and trying to concentrate, but my mind would be going everywhere. And she said to me, she said, just go on and say one namaz today. See how it feels. Just go home.
So casually.
Yeah, yeah, very casually. And here was this woman who was like, so like, I mean, if you met her, if you spoke to her, you would not imagine that she would give any kind of advice like that. I hope she doesn't hear this and kill me. But you didn't think that that is what she would say. But she was like, oh, it was something you loved doing. It was just something that gave you so much peace of mind and peace of body and heart and all
Yeah.
that. She said, just try it. Nahi hota to nahi hota. Just go home and try it. And she said it casually, and I was like, yeah, I'll go home and try it. And I went home and I did my wuzu and I put the janawaz and I said my namaz. And I could not believe. I mean, it's embarrassing to say this. I don't know what that makes me sound like. But that was it.
Yeah.
And I
You
just
found
started
that reconnection like this.
it. Yes.
Wow.
And it took 2 years for me to properly come back, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I think that the journey back to the Janamas and to sort of reigniting my
Yeah.
love and my connection, the soul to
Yeah.
Allah connection, also started to help me during the zikr process. When the zikr would happen, I was able to concentrate better. Otherwise, I would find excuses to leave the room. Okay, I'm just going to check what's happening in the kitchen. Is the khana ready?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Constantly, is the main door shut? The cat will come in. I still do that sometimes. But um, I started to lose myself in zikr the way I used to. And sorry, yeah.
Yeah, this is really, really powerful. And I think that sometimes therapy works in moments like these where you get exactly what you needed to hear. And then I think some people are really able to
Do
use,
that for you,
yeah,
yeah.
and it helps on your own path, on your own journey to actually try to get back. And I think it's very powerful that you've shared that just through this casual encounter, you were able to find that deep reconnection,
Yeah.
which is something that you may have been longing for and you didn't know what to do about
Yeah.
it, but it kind of just came back to you.
Yeah.
Uh,
I know what you're thinking right
yeah.
now.
I am thinking that when you were on this path, and so I have faced grief as well, and when you were saying some of the things, they were really, really, I empathize with those, and how can you ever be normal again? And I
Yeah.
really, really connect with that. And I think that sometimes this grief, if it does settle in the body in some way, it has an impact. And I've felt it as well in various ways. But I'm wondering if you can share something about that as well. Do you think that it has had an impact on you, or did it?
So, like I said to you earlier, the idea of guarding it, not letting go of it. Um, that's something that I don't discuss too much with people because I often get this sort of thing, oh, your mother's in a better place. I
Oh
mean,
God, yes.
those sort of cliche, those sort of expressions that are thrown at you, which I think upset me even more.
Yeah.
If I'm not upset when I'm talking about something, I'll get upset. um, I also had somebody say कि बस अब तुम्हें अपने बच्चों के लिए जीना है. Obviously मुझे अपने बच्चों के लिए जीना है.
These people just don't understand. And it's so sad that
It's
I think
sad.
people don't know how to offer condolence. It's just, and
Yeah.
they expect you to become normal, or and now you should just be fine, as if there's like, as if they can decide for you.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense. Yeah.
So the thing is that what you need is somebody to just listen when you're talking.
Yeah.
And I also feel that people don't want to listen. No, after a while, people get tired of him.
Yeah.
And then people say कि तो सारा वक्त पे बोल रही होती है. I didn't want to be one of those people who सारा वक्त रो रही
Yeah.
है type, you know what I mean? And I don't see myself like that also, but I know that is how I appeared to be to a lot of people. So then slowly, I stopped talking. But I I think I pushed myself into other things. Like I try to distract myself now with work, with the children, with of course. I mean, my ibadat is a constant, and my exercise is also a constant in my life. So I mean, other things, and I feel like. And then I had one more child, and then I had one more child. And,
Mashallah.
so I obviously you get busy, right?
Very busy.
Yeah, yeah. So I think around 2000 and in 2015, I feel like I had really started to feel well. I had started to feel happy,
Nah.
and I had started almost to feel like almost normal. Like I don't know what that is, but just like wake up and look forward to the day, kind of. And there are always days like that, and then there are days when but they had become more. It had become a regular occurrence in my life, and I'm waking up and I'm feeling Okay.
That's when you know that you've shut the door to depression. That when you can wake up and look forward to the day.
Do you shut the door, or do you just do you just say that I'm not going to open the door today? I don't know about that. I don't. Maybe you do shut the door. I think that we decide to not open the door when we're overall in a good place.
I think maybe if I speak from my own experience and thinking, uh, there's just no way that you can keep the door shut because it will just
It'll open on its
it's
own.
just
There are
going to open all
triggers,
the
right?
time.
Yeah.
But if there are a number of days in which you feel that I'm looking forward to the day, then I think that you can say that the door has been shut. And obviously there are triggers, there will be
Yeah.
trigger, and then you're just gonna make a mess of things and you're
Yeah.
gonna feel like a mess, and people will go like, hey, how did this happen again? So
Yeah.
there's
Exactly. Okay.
and we thought that the door was shut, and
Yeah.
you go like,
Yeah.
I thought that the door was shut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
but the door will sometimes just kind
Open.
of open
Yeah. On its own.
and it hurts.
Yeah.
And you go like, yeah, I thought I'd moved on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, but that is what I meant when I said that it settles into your body, grief,
yeah,
sadness, all of this settles into your body. So I don't think we ever move on. I think we just learn to cope better
yeah,
and better, and then life gets busy, and then and then you also realize. I mean, in my case, I speak for myself. I feel like I'm fortunate that I have a very supportive husband and father, and I have a few close friends who've been very, very supportive. But other than that, like I've lost so many friends. People have come and gone along the way, and uh, I heard Jennifer Garner say this on Instagram that you let go of people who don't serve you, and
yeah,
you realize it in this time that there were all these people that I was sharing my grief with, that I was opening myself up to, but they were the wrong sort of spaces. Um, so for me, like if I come back to what I was saying earlier, 2015, I was feeling good. I was feeling better. 2016, I had my third child. I think by 2018, I had started to feel unwell and like just getting very tired and just feeling like I'm falling. चला नहीं जा रहा, and just exhaustion to the point कि बस अब like
loss of energy.
हाँ, complete loss of energy, that you come home after picking up the kids from school and you collapse on the bed, that kind of a thing. I've not ever been like that. And by 2019, I had started feeling like something was wrong with me. So I went to doctor, and he said, okay, I took my blood work and I went to him and I said that I don't feel well. And I didn't even tell anyone. I went to him by myself. And he didn't open my reports. He said, Kuch nahi. He said, your children are very small. You don't sleep well. He said, maybe I feel like maybe you're a little bit depressed as well. I was like, oh, that is there, comes and goes. But I said, physically, आप मुझे देखे ना, physically
Yeah,
क्या problem है, वो मैं handle कर लूँगी,
yeah,
Um, so he sent me away. He was like, कुछ नहीं. Um, Now by 2020, I had started feeling this sensation here, chota sa, like a bump kind of that used to burn. And I didn't, I mean, it would bother me, but then it would go away. So I didn't take it very seriously. Think by I had started feeling this in 2019. By 2020, it had become a bump. It was not just a burning sensation. And but then the bump would just disappear. So I would think that it's now, I mean, when you are told constantly, okay, oh, you're depressed, oh, you're this, oh, I mean, and you're getting it from people who are around you as well, then you start thinking that maybe it is all in my head.
yeah,
Maybe something is wrong in with me in my head, and otherwise everything is fine. And that for me has become like second nature. I second guess myself whenever I'm feeling unwell, physically, that is. I think it might be a mental thing,
yeah.
So by 2020, it had become, I mean, you could feel it when it would swell sort of, and then it would disappear. So then I thought, maybe it's just a vein, maybe I've exerted myself too much in the gym or something. 2021, COVID happened. Um, August of 2021, I got COVID, and it was bad. It was really, really bad. There were no vaccines or anything at that point. And I thought, "Okay, oh, bus, this is it. This is going to kill me." And it's a very long and dramatic story, which I will not, don't have time for that. But there was a doctor from Aghan who used to come, and he told my father, आपकी बेटी को कुछ और भी है. He kept saying, आपकी बेटी को कुछ और भी है. Now, my oxygen levels had stabilized after the first day, so obviously, no hospital was going to admit me. Um, uh, but we couldn't seem to figure out what was wrong with me. On the 11th day, my fever broke. And I think in about 2 weeks, I called the hospital to go and meet Dr. again, found out that he also had COVID and that he wasn't, seeing anyone. I think it was for a brief while that he wasn't, and then he was doing telemedicine. But anyhow, once it passed, I was like, exercising again and all of that. But by December, I realized that I was not feeling okay. I was just not feeling okay. And I went for a CT scan, and I sent the CT scan to a couple of doctors and to doctors. कुछ नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है. I was like, कैसे हो सकता है कुछ नहीं है? That little bump, Zuhaib, became a lump. Okay. And it would stick out, and I would press it, and it would go in, and then it would disappear. And it was very freaky. In January, we were in Islamabad and I collapsed. And that's basically when all hell broke loose. I had to come back, and we had a colonoscopy, and a sample was taken and sent to ATU. And I think you know
It was
bits.
cancer.
It was cancer, yeah. And I think
How did you deal with this? You are young, you have three kids, and it is, I, I mean, for a lot of us, it's very rare to hear a case where a young person gets cancer. And but I'm also kind of thinking about, when you go to the doctor and they're not able to diagnose, that's also kind of heartbreaking that, you want to diagnose these things as fast as you can.
I mean, if this had been, if somebody had looked into it and listened to me when I said, that line that people still must advocate for yourself, I get very irritated by that because I really tried to advocate for myself. I did go to the hospital, and I got the CT scan. Nobody told me to do it. I did it. I have an aunt in the US who kept saying, your nana's passed away of cancer, your mother's passed away of cancer, your mom who's passed away of cancer. Why don't you get your test? Why don't you get your tests done? And I remember at that point thinking, I got the dart from her, and I remember thinking, this is 2021, thinking, but what test do I need to get done? मतलब हमें तो कुछ पता ही नहीं है ना.
Yeah, we're not supposed to know, we're supposed to be told, yeah.
Yeah, we are supposed to be told, and your doctors should do that,
Yeah.
right? So one of the things that I was often asked in all these appointments was if I'd lost any weight, and I hadn't. I hadn't put on any weight, but I hadn't lost any weight. So I said, no, I haven't.
Yeah.
So apparently that's one of the things. But I mean, in my case, I didn't lose any weight. Um, anyhow, so the point of the matter is that it was diagnosed. It was very bad. I was a day and a half later. After the diagnosis, I was rushed into surgery, and because it was a whole
Did they tell you what
panic
stage it
situation.
is?
Yes. So basically, they said that now, again, I hope I'm not getting this wrong, I'm not a doctor, but now they measure it in terms of depth as well, not just in terms of size, but in terms of depth as well. So you could be a stage one, and but if the tumor has penetrated in a certain place, it could still be very dangerous, and you would need those 5 6 cycles of chemo or
Okay.
mine was in the intestine, and it had grown into the walls of the intestine, so it wasn't just in the middle. And because it had grown into the walls, there was fear that it may have gone into the lymph nodes, it may have gone into
Yeah.
the bloodstream. So once the surgery was done, they said that now you will need to start chemo. And uh, once they started chemo, they realized that I'm not supposed to get chemo because I have something called MSI high. My cancer cell is MSI high. So MSI low can get chemo, MSI high can't. And it's genetic. My mother wasn't able to get chemo. My mom never got any chemo from what I remember. My nana never got chemo. I don't know if there was any awareness of this back then. So they said that I'm a candidate for immunotherapy, but only if there is a cell that manifests into a growth or a tumor, which Alhamdulillah has not happened. But I've had to. I was getting tested every 3 months after. I still got some chemo. Did I say that? I did say that.
Yeah,
I got
you said
chemo,
that you started
chemo,
chemo and
and
then
then
they
yeah,
realized that they have to stop it.
they had to stop it. Um, and then uh, because I had my genetic testing after the diagnosis, after the cancer was taken out, they discovered that I was at very high risk of getting ovarian and endometrial cancer. So they
Okay.
suggested a radical hysterectomy, which I fought for 2 years. I kept saying no, no.
So what does that mean
A
exactly?
radical hysterectomy is basically when everything is removed. So there are three
Oh my
different
God.
types. In one, the hysterectomy, a partial, nobody calls it a partial hysterectomy, but a hysterectomy is when they remove the uterus, and oophorectomy is when they remove your ovaries. So there's hysterectomy, and then there's partial hysterectomy, and then there is a radical hysterectomy. The radical one is one in which they remove your uterus, your ovaries, your fallopian tubes, your cervix. They basically clean out that.
Everything.
And I went into something called ovarian failure, and I have a lovely doctor at Aachen. And he then said to me, he said, "Look, you're just sitting on a ticking bomb any day now, any day now." So then I agreed to have the radical hysterectomy, and I feel like that was worse for me than having cancer. The impact that that had on me, on my on not just my physical body but also on mentally.
Yeah.
So with cancer, there is the diagnosis brought about a lot of depression, a lot of grief that I thought that I had settled, in different parts of my mind. I had compartmentalized it, and but it opened up all those old wounds, and I thought the one person in my life who would have understood my pain is my mother, and she's
Yeah.
not alive today. And I think that the feeling of isolation and desolation,
Yeah.
it's, I mean, you can throw all these words around, but it was I think it until the hysterectomy, I didn't realize that there is a third thing that can happen. So there is grief, and there is, of course, your physical health.
Yeah.
The third thing is, um, uh, now I'm going to try and explain it in the way that I understand it. Uh, it's basically you both your mind and your body just giving up on you.
Yeah.
It's like a total system failure. They talk about it when women, if you, I mean, not you, but like people talk about menopause and the perimenopause years and then menopause, and they talk about what it does, brain fog and this and that and the other. But to just wake up from it one morning, and I know that there are a lot of people who I got a lot of help from these online forums. I joined a lot of online forums, and I realized that there were so many women in the world who understood what I was talking about. It's a complete system failure. It's not like telling somebody, "Hey, don't be depressed, ठीक हो जाएगा, बेहतर हो जाएगा." I don't know. Again, like I said, I have to explain it in the way that I understand
Yeah.
it best. Uh, it's कुछ समझ ही नहीं आता. It's like बस आपके हाथ से सब निकल गया है.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here, and your capacity to feel and think and do things is here, and you're here. So I think that trying to recover from that.
I was just going to say that if you are in such a space in your life, how does one even dream of finding healing? I mean, I think it's one thing to agree to surgery and do everything that the doctors are saying,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you're also carrying fear, you're carrying anxiety, in your case, you have these three beautiful children, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that those thoughts must have been coming to you. And how do you think that you opened the door for, or the door of healing opened to you?
So Zuhaib, again, so I mean, exercise has been a constant, right, in my life, and I changed my way of working out. I stopped doing like hours of stupid cardio and things like that. I started lifting weights, and I was already doing that. But post cancer, though, I found the most wonderful trainer. I don't know if you've heard of him, Farzad. His name is Farzad Bagiri. Most wonderful, and I feel like when I started to go to him, I all of a sudden I realized what my body was capable of, and then I continued that even after my hysterectomy. That is obviously a very significant part of my journey to getting better. But uh, meditation,
Yeah.
uh, it's spiritual in the context of spirituality, and meditation, not as in the uh, how does one say it without sounding offensive?
No, it's not possible.
A communion with Allah.
Yeah.
There are different kinds of meditation, right?
Yeah.
But the kind that you understand, because
Yeah.
obviously it was you guys that I turned to for this, right? That sort of meditation, I think and I have never understood meditation. Like I have never understood it. Most people would say yoga karo, फिर yoga में ये ना, I used to be like कि, मैं
Yeah.
मैं जाके भाग रही हूँ,
Yeah.
uh, मैं ट्रैक पे भागती हूँ, तुम लोग ये करो. So this there was this new world that opened up to me when I started coming to Tamina.
Yeah, and if you could maybe speak a little bit.
I do have an incident.
Okay.
Actually, I have two, but I'll mention the first one. So the first thing that happened was, like I mentioned earlier, I've had anxiety all my life, right, and very debilitating kind of anxiety, but also very. While I say debilitating, it was also uh, high functioning, because I managed to work with it. I managed to have children. I managed to, have manage my relationships, everything. But debilitating in a more physical sense, not maybe emotional. Like it would sap me of my emotional and mental energy, and so I would spend half an hour just sitting in one place, like lost, after the attack, and it had become very frequent at certain points in my life, like after mummy and then in between when the children were younger. Uh, so I came to Tamina for a session, and I told her that I am very anxious again. I am very, very anxious. And and she said, okay, let's have let's try and meditate, and let's try and imagine it as a thing in your body. And of course, I'm not saying it as beautifully as she said it. But she made me close my eyes, and she made me look inside, and to try and find it. Where is the anxiety in my now? Obviously, I have a picture in my head of what happens to my body and my stomach when I feel the attack come. Yeah. Right. And to make a picture of it in my head that day, I imagined this black smoky thing with liquid and like a ball, and it's and I'm it's attacking my
Gut.
my gut, exactly, and I'm I'm clenched. Now this is what, in my head, this is what I thought, that this is what I would see, or this is what I was trying to see, I don't know. But it kept turning red. Like every time I would really concentrate, shut my eyes, it was red. It was not black. So I opened my eyes a couple of times, and she said, try again. And at that point, I didn't know how to say it to her. I'm trying, but I'm not, like, what am I seeing? And it was red, Zohaib. And I know, as crazy as this sounds, I tried many, many times. All I saw was red. So she said, let's work with red. After I told her, I said, I don't
Yeah.
understand. She said, let's just work with thread. And it was, so she told me to do it like homework, like to do it when I got home again, the process of meditation, to do it again when I woke up. And I realized that night that uh, it was red because what I feel is a form of anger.
Yeah.
and helplessness associated with that anger, like such insane anger that I'm helpless to do anything. It renders me completely helpless,
Yeah.
and hopeless. And my body was telling me what it was. I was trying to see something else. I don't even know what the black smoky liquidy thing was. I don't. It's just that you associate black with negativity, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So, but my body told me what it was. That for me was transformative. Like, you know, I've never been through something like that. Never imagined something like that. Never thought that something like that could happen.
And when you did this meditation, and when you would kind of imagine or kind of bring this in your mind's eye, this red ball, what
Yeah.
would happen to it? Would it remain there? Would
No, so she had told me, um, she had she had told me to imagine a sort of light going through it and making it dissipate,
okay?
and what I had done in some of our sessions was that I had imagined that, like, I'm sitting, in front of the lot tree, and Allah's throne is there, and the light is there, and so I'm using that light to heal myself, to calm myself, to make myself feel warm and comforted, and so all those things. Um, so I imagined that light going through it, because and I was doing it. It was very step by step, right? It was actually very methodical the way she
Mm.
took me through it. So I imagined that the light that was going in was that light, and it was going there, and uh, it would envelop the ball, the red ball, and then it would make it dissipate, and I would calm down. It was almost like एकदम से warm warm सी feeling होती थी, and I would calm down, and then it became almost addictive, because I would feel so calm, I would feel so good, um, that I started doing it again and again and again and again, um, and even when the doctor said to me, "Okay, you have to get this surgery, the hysterectomy," I did it even then, because I would have severe panic, severe panic. And in the last, I would say 5 6 years, my anxiety has not been high functioning. When I said high functioning, I meant in my 20s and 30s, not in the last, like, late 30s, early 40s. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing.
So this entire meditative practice, you feel, was able to open a door of healing for you.
There was another thing that happened. Um, I was admitted to hospital again, because where the surgery, this is after my cancer surgery, where the tumor had been removed, there was a lot of scar tissue, and the scar tissue had blocked my intestine in the exact same way that the tumor had.
What?
Yeah. So, I mean, you get stitched inside also, right? They removed 70% of my large intestine and sutured it to the small one. They had removed a portion of the small one as well. And because the tumor was in between the two. And there, in that particular place, I had developed scar tissue. And the scar tissue literally it blocked the intestine in the exact same way that the tumor had. So when I felt that pain, I thought, oh my God, cancer has come back. But it was actually scar tissue. So I was admitted to hospital again, and they had put an NG tube, and that is the stuff that my nightmares are made of, not of the surgery,
Yeah.
and not of the cancer, but of the NG tube. And they put the NG tube in to suck all the liquid out to release the pressure,
Yeah.
and they hope that the the tissue, the scar tissue would move, and there'd be a
An
natural
opening.
opening.
Yeah.
And they said if it doesn't happen, we'll have to cut you open again and remove the scar tissue again. No, sorry, remove the scar tissue. And but the fear with that was that I'd develop scar tissue yet again after that, which can happen.
Okay.
So when I was in the hospital, I think this was on the fourth or the fifth day. Fifth day, I think, that my sister messaged me and said, my sister was abroad at that time, and she said, "Listen." So she had been messaging me, and I think I had or been calling me, and I didn't have the himmat to talk because I had that thing, and um, I, I was in a very bad state of mind, so I wouldn't look at my phone for most of the day. I think she had told my husband that she wants to speak to me, and then he said, "Listen, there's something important." And she then said, she said that she and Temina had spoken.
Okay.
And that Temina, I think she had had not a dream, but I think this was at Fajr prayers, that when Temina was meditating for me, sort of, uh, for me to come out of this, without having to be cut up again. She said, Temina said that, and I hope to God that I am not misquoting her. She said that she thought that she heard a voice tell her that I should try and imagine a white light, you know, going through that area and opening it up naturally, and to meditate, and also to read something, a dua, on myself as well. And my sister was frantically trying to speak to me, and anyhow, then eventually she wrote all of this down. I read it, and I messaged her back, and I said I will start it today. And I used to play a lot of Surya Rahman when I was at the hospital as well. I was doing that, and I started. Uh, I started, you know, imagining this sort of white light, but in my head, the light was more golden than white. And I had learned that from them. I mean, like, let it happen, like let your body show you
Yeah.
what it's meant to show you. Um, and I imagined it going through the scar tissue and opening up the scar tissue in a way that it would never shut again.
Hmm.
And so I started this on the sixth day, because by the time I read her messages and I responded, it was, I think, the morning of the sixth day. And the doctor had come in to say that we will operate her in a day or two. She's been here
Yeah.
almost a week, so we will now operate on her. Um, And also when they would come in, I would beg them, please remove the tube, please remove the tube, please. And they would say, no, one more day, one more day, one more day, one more day. And hote, like 6 days had passed. By the seventh day, there was nothing, no movement in my stomach, nothing. And I started to panic again. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it was, I think, around maybe late on the night of the seventh day, like post 10:30, and I started with full, like, with all my himmat, literally with everything I have. I started imagining that this is happening, and I'm reading a dua, and Surah Rahman is playing, and I'm imagining that this is happening, and I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not talking to anyone. Okay. And I fell asleep, and I heard a knock on the door, and the anesthesiologist had come, and my husband was talking to him. He said that we've come to do, they come and check you right before taking you in for surgery. So he said, I've come to check her so that we can take her in the morning. And I heard my husband get angry to him कि अभी तो सोइए, ये क्या टाइम है आने का, पहले आ जाते, अभी आप जाए. So uh, he left. Jibran shut the door, he came inside, and I thought, oh my God, I shut my eyes again. I was awake. I shut my eyes again. And all of a sudden, I felt a movement. And I said, oh my God, I too much information. Sorry. I said, I need to go to the bathroom. And that was it. It opened.
It opened.
It opened. And I mean, I can't believe it. So I'm saying it to you here, but it's not something I tell people, because I also don't tell people, so hey, because people say, oh, mind over matter and this, and
Yeah.
you can make, I mean, it's fine if that's what they believe. I just don't want anyone to diminish it for me,
Yeah.
the experience. But I could not. I could not believe that it had actually happened. I did it because I trusted Temina.
Yeah.
I trusted her wholly and solely. And I said, this, you know, beautiful, amazing friend of mine has brought me onto this path. There has to be something. She heard somebody say something. There has to be something. And it happened at Fajr. Ek to I believe that miracles happen at Tahajjud and Fajr. Yeah. Those namazes are something else. And yeah,
I'm speechless.
yeah,
I think it really, I mean, your story, uh, it's, I think it's hard for people to believe that they have ingredients inside
yeah,
themselves to invite healing.
yeah,
And I think if you get lost in fear and you're not able to kind of maybe even find the right friend or the
yeah,
right resource,
yeah. The right
may-
resource, the right friend. Yeah,
you wouldn't know what to do. But I think the
yeah,
first and the biggest thing is this belief that it is possible to have healing.
yeah. I also think that, I mean, the effort to find it is important. Huh?
Yeah.
The end result, I think we focus so much on the end result of things that we make things a lot bigger than they are. If we just go along with a little, take those baby steps
Yeah.
and see where it takes us, I think that it, at least for me, I feel
Yeah.
like when I stopped focusing on, after getting a diagnosis like this, then you don't, I don't, I mean, I stopped thinking क्या होगा अगले साल, you know.
Yeah.
ये 5 साल बाद तो बहुत ही दूर की बात है, you know what I mean? I stopped thinking like that. So I thought, okay, what can I do in the moment for now?
Yeah. And you automatically start living in the moment, maybe permanently. Uh, you said something about making the effort, and in my life, I've realized that one of the most important things is to kind of develop a practice for yourself,
Yeah,
which is going to invite healing, which is going to remind you that this is something that you need to work on every day.
yeah, it's a
And
practice.
yeah, and for some people it's running, like you said. For some people it's, and there's no doubt that it is about working on the body.
Yeah,
And at the same time, it's also, I mean, so when you are working on the body, you're automatically also working in a spiritual way
yeah,
because you want to be able to release tension. You want to be able to live without anxiety, without fear, without anger.
yeah.
And it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, I
But
think that we don't also don't people, I mean, here don't talk enough about the impact of exercise on mental health.
yeah, when TM was in severe depression, uh, her therapist, the one that she really connected with, she just said two things. She said, start taking a nap in the afternoon and you have to walk. And TM said, why am I supposed to walk? And she said, you have to walk. It's not for your physical health, it's for your mental health. And it did wonders. It did wonders for her.
So my surgeon said that to me. She said, you're going to nap in the afternoon now. And I was like, oh, I never liked napping in the afternoon. She said, no, you will nap in the afternoon now. Yeah.
I think I really want to conclude with asking you to, if you had to give some feedback to the world, whoever listens to your miraculous journey of having to deal with grief at a young age, of losing your mom, and then having to deal with cancer as a young mom as well.
Yeah.
uh, I mean, in one sense, I'm kind of seeing you as a role model. How absolutely, you're not seeing yourself as that, but I most definitely am, because you know you've come through something very difficult, and you're beautiful and you're brave and you're strong, and if anything, anyone who hears this story is just going to be inspired. If you could share something with people who are listening to you, it could be young girls, it could be people who have been through cancer, it could be people who have gone through the grief of losing a loved one. What are some of the things that just come to your head if you had to share something?
So I don't know what advice I would give. Um, I think that it is very important to surround yourself with people who who want to listen to you.
Hmm.
you know. It is very important to talk. It is very, also very, very, very important to know that it is okay to hold on to that grief the way I held on to it. In the years that followed Nazuhib, I was often made to feel like I was a burden, I was too much, you know, when will it end? When will it get better? It's okay for it to not get better.
Yeah.
If you're not constantly fighting to make it better, it will become better,
Yeah.
you know. And you do what you can do. I feel like I also had the luxury at different points in my life to uh, take a break from work here and there. A lot of women, men don't have that luxury, right? They have to continue working. So, I mean, take a break, but take the kind of break that you need.
Yeah.
There has to be something that you can take a break from. If it means taking a break from people, if it means taking a
Yeah.
break from something, you take a break from something. You know, we one of the things that the therapist said to me that I often say to my children, uh, when we are in a situation like this, we require a crutch. It is human nature to require a crutch. So if you must have a crutch, then pick something that will benefit you. When I was in the throes of depression, there was lots of things that I wanted to do at that point that I don't admit to. I did admit to them then. But I mean, you know, now that I think about it, but I thought, okay, I there is something that I need. What can I do? So I started running on the treadmill. It was a very small thing.
Yeah.
It was a very small thing.
But the small thing was a big thing.
It ended up being a big thing. I have had days when I have just sat on the janamas, not praying, not doing anything, just sitting there because I couldn't bring myself to pray. But I thought I should be here because maybe Allah will make me get up. And do you know what I mean? Um, I shared and I overshared at times with people, and I regretted it. I still regret it. But then I found my way to those who love me and who will listen to me no matter what. I think that's very, very, very important to identify who you can fall on.
Yeah.
And if you have even one person in your life who you can fall on, I think that is so important. I do tell my children to be self-sufficient, so hey, but I have learned that it is okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to be, there's no medal being given for being brave and
Yeah.
self-sufficient and I did it on my own.
And if anything, one of the bravest things you can do is actually ask for help.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But know who to ask for help. Now, like who to turn to for
Yeah.
help. Who there are there are some people uh who seem like, you know, you have access to them, easy access to them. They're there, so you think I can talk to this person. But maybe someone else who you have less access to, and maybe who you can't speak to every day, but maybe talking to that person will be better than
Yeah.
speaking to the person in front of you. So I think that's something that I say to my children all the time. You know, I don't know. See, it's such a life is not linear, na? We go up and then you come down, and then you go up and you come down.
Yeah.
And we went to Turkey for a friend's 40th birthday last year, had a very good time. And when I came back, one of the things that I said to Anasima, my eldest, is that you can have fun at 40, you can have fun at 16. You think that, oh, you didn't get to do something right now. You will have fun later on. But in between 16 and 40, maybe lots of bad things will also happen. But those bad things will happen, and then good things will happen, and then bad things will happen, and then good things will happen.
And it's perhaps to keep the faith that when you're
I was
down below,
exactly. I was just going to say that too. That is something that I did. I kept telling myself, it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
yeah,
It'll be okay. And if it is not okay, also, then it will not be okay.
yeah,
There's lots that's not in our control, and it's okay to know that it is not in our control. So I don't know if this is helpful, or I don't
it's
know
very
if this.
helpful. I think it's very deep and it's from your heart, and I think so many people will be able to connect with what you've just said.
Hope so.
I think it's safe to I think it's safe to say that maybe uh a lot of these thoughts will maybe even generate some kind of conversation. I hope that it does happen.
I wish we had more grief counseling here.
I swear.
Yeah. And the kind that you could just walk into, like where you don't have to pay 10,000 rupees for a session.
We should start there.
We should start that. We should
We should
start
start
that. We should. Yeah.
ग्रीफ के बारे में समझना है experts बैठे हैं
हमारे पास आके बात
depression
करें.
no problem we've got you covered.
Yeah, we've got you covered.
Sabina, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
taking time out to do this. We had been talking about it, and I'm just so glad that it happened.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.